Yo, what's good, my people? It's your boy Big Chris, aka the Compton Animator, and I'm here to give you another WWE review. So tonight we're reviewing WWE SmackDown for February 28th, 2014. But before I get into the SmackDown review, I have a little bit of special review of a review. So for right now, I'm gonna start off this review with reviewing NXT Arrival that happened this week. What was it? Thursday, February 27th, 2014. And I'm gonna kick off this review just by saying I got the NXT WWE Network. It works pretty good. It had several hiccups here and there. There was a hiccup during a live stream between when one of the matches was going on, but it came back and it worked fine throughout the time I was watching it. And like I said, there's a few hiccups here and there, but this is expected to me when you have a network coming in and stuff like that. So I fully understand this type of thing starts happening. So let's kick off this review. So first, before I talk about anything, R.I.P. to Big Viscera, Big Daddy V, Nielsen Frazier, who died I think last week, or yeah, I think last week died. Good man, good wrestler. I was watching some of the old school stuff with him on YouTube and on the network and stuff like that. So rest in peace to this dude. So first thing, we start off at the NXT Arrival. You see Triple H. He does his whole, "Are you ready?" thing and gets the crowd hype and get them set up for the night and all this stuff like that. And he did a pretty good job at this. The NXT is kind of bizarre world for the WWE, and they really do love him. I probably might do a video on Triple H because I have a few things I need to say about him as far as what I think his future for the company is and other things like that. So the first match that we get of the night is Antonio Cesaro versus Sami Zayn. Now I've been watching NXT for a few months now, probably 6 months going on. And the only reason why I've been watching it is because I've heard that it was better than most of the stuff that was on WWE as far as Raw and SmackDown goes. So I started watching it, and I would agree NXT is really good. But you may ask, okay, why don't you review it then? Well, to me, I believe that NXT is still the developmental league. So, it doesn't feel right for me to review their show because these guys are still training. They're still trying to figure out character. They're still trying to figure out everything they need. So I figured that, I don't want to, put too much on these guys as far as I'm not putting anything on these guys, but, just I don't want to get into that whole thing of, reviewing these guys and they're still in the process of changing who they are and building themselves up, getting into the main league. So I'll review a main league. It's like the difference between college football and regular football to me. I would review and expect a lot from regular football guys. From the college dudes, I just expect them to come out and play games and go hard. So this match right here, Sami Zayn versus Antonio Cesaro, a very good match. A match for candidate of the year. Both of these guys came out there and they really put on a nice match. They did everything that they needed to do. And I saw another match with them either middle of last year, I think it was, where it was a 2 out of 3 falls match, and they did an excellent job out of there, and it was candidate of the year again. But this one, a very good job. You had a lot of nice spots here with Cesaro doing several uppercuts. You had a sunset flip, or I think it was like a reverse sunset flip or something like that, from Sami Zayn. You just had both these guys who came out there and put their hearts in the match. But Antonio Cesaro came out to win here after he did a spinning European uppercut followed by the neutralizer. And it came after Sami Zayn was basically just getting beat down until he started getting that, superhero strength coming back at the end. So Cesaro said, fuck it, I got to put him down. So yeah, it was a very good match. And at the end, it kind of played off of their whole rivalry, not just in the WWE, but, throughout their wrestling career. And you get both guys who kind of hug after Sami Zayn is looking depressed in the ring. And I guess Cesaro was talking to him saying, you did good and stuff like that. So next thing I'll talk about is the next match, not the next match, but another match on the card. But you know what? Before I talk about this, there are a few other matches here, which I'm not sure if I have pictures of. Before I go into anything, let me see, because I think these are out of order a little bit. Okay, so I'll talk about this next. So one of the next matches you have on the card is you have the Divas match. So Stephanie McMahon comes out there and she introduces, the Divas. While she's in the ring, the crowd is saying, "You still got it." She says she never lost it, and she was looking bad too. So she was looking really good. So I really liked her here, and it's still, they come off as faces on the NXT show, and this is Triple H's baby show. So he basically built this up. And like I said, I'm gonna create another video talking about how I feel about Triple H. So you get this match with this diva Paige versus Emma. Emma, most of you probably seen on the main roster right now with Santino, but both of these girls did very good in this match, and they, came out there and showed that women can wrestle, especially in the WWE. You have other lanes like, the knockouts of TNA and other girls from other industries like ROH who come out there and show that they can wrestle, but you don't mainly see it with the high up leagues like a WWE. And with NXT, these girls really do go out there and put on a great match. And this match ends once Paige puts on this move called the Scorpion Crossbow onto Emma. It looked vicious. And, one thing I can say also about this match is the commentary. You had William Regal and two other new guys, and they called this match perfectly. They were calling the whole night perfectly. They were calling moves. They were saying how the feud is going, and they rarely talked about other people's feuds. They called the matches and talked about the matches. And if something big happened, they reacted to it, unlike on the main shows. So it was everything that was good about this. One thing I can say is that there was a little bit of problem with Paige at the beginning. I think both divas. I think Paige hasn't been in the ring for a minute, so you could still tell the kind of rush she had coming in tonight, and the chemistry just was off a little bit at the beginning of the match. But once it got towards the middle and the end, the match went off great, and this was another really good match. You got a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd. At another point in the match, Emma hits a sit-down power bomb off onto Paige and stuff like that. So you got "This is better than Batista" chant. So it was a very good, just match as it is, and for a Divas match, it was just very, very good. So after that, you get so my pictures are out of order here. So after that, you get a segment with a match that was supposed to be with what's their names, Xavier Woods and Tyler Breeze, and their match was interrupted by Alexander Rusev. He comes out there and basically beats up both guys and takes his main punishment out onto Xavier Woods, and an okay beatdown segment. And the girl that he got right there looks bad too, so she looks really good. And before we go to any of this, I gotta find them other pictures. So yeah, another filler match that you had here was Mojo Rawley versus what's his boy's name? CJ Parker. This was a very mediocre match to me. This is probably the low point of the show. Both of these guys still need a lot of work on character and everything else, and they just need a lot of, just everything towards them. But Mojo Rawley came out with the win here in a quick match. Also, here's Tyler Breeze from that other match. Another match that we had going on was you had the Ascension versus Too Cool. Too Cool came out there, and this was an okay match. The Ascension was very over with the crowd. They were chanting "yeah, yeah, yeah" for everything that the Ascension did and stuff like that. So it was a pretty okay match and stuff like that, and Too Cool did what they needed to do here. So now we can talk about the next stuff. So your main event match was the ladder match, and before anything, you had Shawn Michaels come out, and he basically tried to hype up the match, but the crowd was basically just showing too much love for him and saying they wanted another match and stuff like that. And then he tried to hawk his WrestleMania DVD and stuff like that. But he basically was coming out and saying both of these guys are good, and let's start this ladder match and stuff like that, and saying how big of a match it is for them. So the match was between Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville, and this was another very good ladder match, very good match on the show. Both of these guys came out there and they put on a lot of skills on there, and just was very physical with the ladders, but also told a good story inside of the ring, and I respect that. They did a lot of good things in this match, and it wasn't as good as the Cesaro and Sami Zayn match, but it did come off and it showed off very well. And the end came when Adrian Neville hit his red arrow off the top rope, which is a very good looking move, onto Bo Dallas, who was laying on a ladder, and it just came off very well. Adrian Neville climbed up the ladder and he became new NXT champion. If I didn't say it the first time, that this match was for the NXT title. So yeah, very good match. new champion, only belt to change that night, and just it came off very well. And as far as the whole show goes, I would give it a B plus. There was some technical difficulties with this. Became when it was the Alexander Rusev segment, and I didn't get my show back until the main event match. So there was a little bit of technical difficulties that I don't want to have to take the points off of, but I kind of have to do. And there were a couple of filler matches that just seemed that they could have been better put on here, or there could have been some other stuff they've been hyping up on NXT that could have been put in here. So yeah. So let's see. Okay. So the show kicks off, and now we're going to talk about WWE SmackDown. And that happened on, like I said, on February 28th, 2014. And this show kicks off with Batista. The crowd was crazy hot, booing the hell out of him. And he comes out there, and he's basically coming out to talk about everything that's been happening with him throughout this whole time. And he basically just bitches on the crowd, just comes out there and says, how everything with this crowd everything since he's been here has been these people booing him, but he doesn't care, and he's just sick of seeing these small guys wrestle. And only reason why people cheer for these so-called heroes is because they want to see people that look like them wrestle. But he was saying that that's not how it should be. It should be big guys like him, and it should be guys who can actually do the stuff that he does. And he was basically like, I think he took his shirt off at one point and just basically flexed for the crowd, saying, I'm the best. I deserved this shot. I'm going to beat down all your heroes. I'm going to beat down all these 190-pound guys, and I'm going to win that title. And that's going to be what I'm going to do up until WrestleMania. So after that, you had Dolph Ziggler come out. And Dolph Ziggler basically came out there and said, you know what? Fuck what you're saying. Yeah, I'm one of those guys you're talking about. You're a dinosaur. I'm about to whip your ass. I want a match. And he challenges Batista. Batista accepts, and they get a match for the night. Both segments were pretty good. They're finally doing exactly what they need to do with Batista. And to me, this is saying that, they're kind of listening to what is going on in the ring, and they're listening to what the fans are saying. This is what it should have been done with Batista all along. And I kind of feel that the WWE are a little bit late on this, but better late than never, And they're just like they're turning Batista heel, and that's exactly what they need to do. And bringing off a guy like Ziggler to face him, and somebody who's like Ziggler is a good on the mic and also good in the ring, was a very good job. And I thought Batista's promo was okay, and Ziggler's was okay as well. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. It wasn't really, really good, but it was a pretty chill, promo between both of the guys in the opening segment as well. And Ziggler ends up kicking Batista for his trouble, so you get that. So your first match you get is the World's Strongest Tag Team of Mark Henry and Big E versus Antonio Cesaro and Jack Swagger. This match right here, I'm trying to start saying, this match right here, it was a pretty good match. It really showed the power of all guys in the ring: Cesaro, Big E, Mark Henry, and Jack Swagger. And it had a very fast pace, and it stayed high paced throughout the whole match. It also told a good story of the friction that's going on between Cesaro and Jack Swagger, plus the camaraderie between Big E and Mark Henry. So that was very good to me, and I think that they did a very good job in this match. The match ends up coming out where the faces look like they're going to come over, but Cesaro and Jack Swagger start coming on the same page, and they started, having a little rift between each other throughout the match. And they started having a little rift between each other throughout the match. So Jack Swagger puts an ankle lock onto Mark Henry's. Cesaro tags himself in, hits Mark Henry with the neutralizer, and goes for the pin. And it was a crazy looking neutralizer because Mark Henry is a big ass dude, so it was crazy looking. And they kind of have an angry look at each other, but also kind of we won look as well. So it still tell a little bit of friction there, but they won the match, so that went from that. And it was, like I said, it was a pretty good match, and everybody in that ring has been doing good as of late. So next we get Alberto Del Rio versus Sheamus, and before the match, you had Del Rio was in the back talking to Vicky, basically saying, I beat up Del Rio. I beat up what's his name, Batista. I want the night off. And he beat him up on Raw and won. He wants the SmackDown night off. Sheamus comes in there and says, Bertie, how about we fight and not let that be your night off, and I just whip your ass, basically. And I thought it was a pretty okay segment. Both of these guys were pretty funny in their speeches and stuff like that, and I thought it was pretty cool. So the match itself was pretty brutal. Both of these guys came out there and they had a nice little match. I think it went a few minutes, probably 7 at the most, and they came out there and they did their thing and they had a nice little match. You had Christian, who came out halfway through the match, was on the mic, was on the announcer's table talking and stuff like that. And towards the end of the match, you had Del Rio, who was coming off trying to win, and before he can even fully get anything in, Sheamus ends up hitting him with the cloverleaf, and I believe he ends up hitting him with the cloverleaf, and before Del Rio could tap out, Christian comes in and hits Sheamus. Del Rio tries to attack Sheamus after that, and Sheamus retaliates, and then Christian ends up hitting Sheamus with the kill switch. It's hard remembering all these moves. It hits Sheamus with the kill switch, and like I said, it was a pretty chill match. I think that everybody in the ring did everything they need to do, and it told a good story as far as Sheamus and Christian goes. And Christian, him being overzealous and being he wants to be the guy who gets that belt, and he's trying his best of trying to change his whole self, and he could tell he's desperate and stuff like that. So that played off very well here, and I think it did a very good job as that. And the match itself was okay, like I said. So after that, you get a promo with Alexander Rusev and his girl, and I think this was the first time we see him actually on TV as far as coming out to the crowd. And this was an okay segment. She introduced him. He basically introduced himself and said his name after that in whatever language they're speaking. I think it's Russian. And, the announce team basically hyped him up, saying he's very good. So, it is what it is. So after that, you get the Shield, and this is not a picture of what was happening tonight. Wait, is it? No, it's not. So, but it's the same thing of exactly what happens tonight. So you get the Shield, who's backstage, and Dean Ambrose is arguing with Roman Reigns, and basically they're arguing back and forth about the whole DQ situation on Raw, and Roman saying that, I've gotten 2 DQs now because of you, and I want to win and stuff like that, and we need to beat the Wyatts and stuff like that. And Dean Ambrose is going off saying, what the fuck, dude? Why are you blaming me for this shit? They were attacking us and stuff like that, so don't blame me for everything that's going on. So Roman Reigns is pissed off because of their losses and stuff like that. So you get Seth Rollins, who's the kind of the middleman of the group, who basically shuts all that down and says, you know what? The Wyatts are thinking they're just going to leave us now and say that they beat us, and basically go off and try to beat up on Cena, but we're not going to let that happen, and we're basically going to go in there, we're going to fuck the Wyatts up. And I like the end segment where you get Roman Reigns, who says, you know what, fuck the bullshit, we're hunting Wyatts. So it was a very good segment right here, and I really like the tension that they played up with this and stuff like that, and I thought it did a very good job of playing up the Shield's whole aggression towards each other, but also their main focus right now, which is we need to fuck these Wyatts up, and we need to start ourselves to show that we're the dominant faction in the WWE. So it was a very good segment right here, and all 3 of these guys are very good at what they do. So the next match we get is Dolph Ziggler versus Batista, and this was a pretty chill match. Dolph Ziggler basically controlled most of this match by, either selling Batista's moves very well or coming in and making sure the pace of the match went okay. But I think Batista did a very good job of selling how powerful he was at the end, doing 3 spine busters, then hitting him, like I said, 3 spine busters. I don't know why that threw me off. 3 spine busters, then hitting Dolph Ziggler with the sit-down power bomb, or Batista bomb as they call it. And like I said, he did a very good job of showing his strength and how powerful he was all through the match. And Dolph Ziggler did a very good job of coming off as a fast, furious face, but also the young guy who still needs a lot of work. So, and Batista comes out with the win here. So I thought it was a pretty chill match and Batista's best match since he's been back. And Batista gets the win. So next you get the Wyatt family who come out to the ring, and Bray Wyatt basically talks about everything that's been going on with him and John Cena, and saying that the crowd is basically sheep. They're in the world of lies and basically going through the world like they're sheep. Men are going to work trying to buy things to impress women. Women are putting on makeup trying to hide their faces and impress somebody else. And they're looking up to heroes like John Cena, which is just bullshit to Bray Wyatt. So after Bray Wyatt fully gets out his speech, the Shield comes out, and the Shield basically comes out, looks at Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt goes, you know what, if you want this, basically come get it. So before they can even get down and fight, and they're just basically looking at each other in the heat and the tension, and look at the crowd, dude. It was just, anytime these guys get in the ring together, or anytime they look at each other, it is just awesome to me. But before they can even get down to anything, you get Triple H, who comes out there and basically says, motherfucker, don't give away what we can sell. So he basically says, y'all going to do this anyway, so let's do it where I can pitch it and we can do it on Raw. And it's going to be in Chicago as well, so that's going to even be better. So after that, you get the Wyatt family, who's looking like they're going to leave. Bray Wyatt, before he steps out, basically says, why don't you guys leave and do what Daddy's telling you to do, basically. So the Shield take that as an offense, and Ambrose and Rollins go out there and tackle the other two members of the Shield, and Bray Wyatt basically has a stare down with Roman Reigns. As the rest of the other Shield members get back in the ring, Wyatt laughs it off and leaves with the Shield. So, a very good segment. It is nothing bad I have to say about that. They did that very well. And Triple H coming out saying, basically, let's hold this off and wait to sell it on the next Raw. Very good job here. So, after that, you get a Divas match with AJ Lee versus Cameron. And this match actually started off pretty okay. AJ Lee was throwing off some good offense, and it looked like she was, kind of getting back into her routine of actually wrestling good. And it looked like they were about to let them have a little nice match. But it ended up, after like a couple moves happen, Tamina gets thrown out for trying to help AJ Lee. And it just, after that, AJ Lee kicks Cameron and puts her in her Black Widow, and the match ends. And this just goes to show, that whoever is in control of the division, Divas division especially right now, it's not doing what they need to do. And also, AJ's Black Widow was sloppily put on and stuff like that. You could tell she's just tired of this, and Cameron really wasn't doing that much. He was kind of sloppy as well. So, it started off looking okay, and it just ended up being very mediocre. And AJ Lee basically wins, so I think this is the last time we're going to see her face Cameron for a while. And I have no idea where they're going to go from this, because Naomi's still out, and there is no telling of what they're going to do, especially with the Divas division going towards WrestleMania. So after that, you get your main event, which was the Usos and Daniel Bryan versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. And another pretty good match here. Both teams did a lot of good offense on each other, a lot of good defense as well. The Usos played up very strong, but still young guys who are still trying to show their way and stuff like that. And the New Age Outlaws played themselves very good as kind of old guys, but still veterans and know how to do the right things in the ring. And I love the way Billy Gunn plays himself in the ring. I love the way Billy Gunn plays himself in the ring, and I love everything that he does in the ring. He does a very good job of just going in there and, not Billy Gunn, Road Dogg plays himself in the ring, and he does a very good job of just going in there and, talking to, just his charisma in the ring is just very good. He talks in the ring, he shows emotion in the ring and stuff like that, and Road Dogg does that very well. And Billy Gunn was pretty good here too. And the end of the match come where Billy Gunn goes for a famouser, Daniel Bryan kicks out, and they kind of beat up on each other for a minute. Everybody starts doing their finishers, as far as the Usos beating up on Kane and Road Dogg then jumping out of the ring on those guys, and Daniel Bryan ends up at the full end hitting Billy Gunn with the flying knee or the running knee or whatever they call it. So, like I said, it was a pretty chill match right here, and I like the way that it ended for the match and kind of the Usos and Daniel Bryan basically going over on both those guys and pushing on towards the next thing that's going to happen to them at the WrestleMania. And this SmackDown was pretty good. It was actually really good to me. The opening matches, all the matches in here, all the segments in here were pretty good. The only down points were probably the Diva segment, and even that had a bright spot in it. It just faded because they didn't give it enough time to actually work, or enough story and basic just oomph there to actually do anything with it. To me, the only big problem that keeps me from giving this show the A that it should deserve, as far as being a good show, is that one, these damn Raw rebounds. They're killing me with that. 15 minutes of a match that we've seen on Raw. And then also you got, Raw exclusives, I mean. Then you got the Raw rebound, which was also probably a 5 minutes of the Undertaker stuff that we saw on Raw. I understand giving us probably a minute or two or a couple minutes of a thing that we saw on Raw, but if I'm watching SmackDown, I want to see something new. And, not just the gang of stuff that I've already seen that's going to take up time that other matches can use, especially like the Divas match. You got to give these girls time to work, especially if you want to push them. And this leads me into the whole thing of what I believe that Triple H is not in control of a lot of stuff that is happening on the main card of WWE. You can still tell this is Vince's touch, that Triple H just has a couple of hands here and there inside of the show. And especially looking from what NXT was to this, you can tell where his hands are at. So basically for me, I would say this show deserves a B+. It was almost to an A, but there were certain things that just kept it from going there. Thank you for watching. I see that, some guys are watching, and I have a couple other people who consistently watch. I want to very much thank y'all for watching. Y'all keep me doing these reviews and stuff like that, and I love talking about wrestling. So, if you want to talk in the comments, very well, hit me up on Tumblr, hit me up on Twitter. If you're on my Facebook, I'll give you that, but I'm not going to put it down in the comments. And, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace. Also, before I go, see y'all Monday, Chicago. CM Punk may return.